Air planning for the Normandy invasion was unprecedented and may go down as the most extensive ever. Aircraft of all types, from strategic bombers to fighters to transports to light observation aircraft, were all carefully integrated. On D-Day alone, 11,000 Allied aircraft flew almost 15,000 sorties. Only 127 planes were lost, and none due to air-to-air combat. It was an extraordinary accomplishment to manage this air fleet. More than 100 airfields in England were utilized to launch this air armada on 5 separate flight corridors. 5 needles to be threaded in severely restricted airspace that was less than 150 miles wide and 50 miles deep. Aircraft speeds, altitudes, the sequence of activities, and specific objectives had to be carefully planned to the most minute degree, all without the support of computers or modern air telecommunications. By the end of the war, much of the Allied air fleet had seasoned pilots. The fact the airplane worked so well is an extraordinary tribute to these aviators, Allied planning, coordination, and leadership. The Luftwaffe didn't shoot down a single Allied plane that day. On D-Day, the Allies had total air superiority and provided the deep strike and close air support that helped start the end of World War II. When all was said and done, the strength of the alliance, dedicated resolve, and a multinational, multi-domain operation won the day.
Welcome to the site of La Fière, and now also the future site of the 8th Air Force Monument. We have with us today many distinguished guests and supporters of this monument, and I would, without further ado, want to give the microphone to General Moseley, who was the 18th Chief of the Air Force. We have here Dan Rosenthal, the son of Rosie, Donna Doolittle, the granddaughter of General Doolittle, and our esteemed World War II veterans, Lester Schrank, who was a gunner on a B-17.
It's been 80 years since VE Day, so what a fitting sight and a fitting occasion to look at these 4 airmen and reflect on their actions that directly impacted the landings on 6 June 44. But first, allow me to recognize that we're gathering here at a truly sacred piece of France, overlooking the La Fière Bridge here in Normandy, where from 6 through 9 June, elements of the famed 82nd Airborne fought a pivotal, a continuous, and a fierce battle against repeated German attacks to take this bridge and break up the landing at Utah. This is truly sacred ground for American military. This fight has been described as probably the bloodiest small unit struggle in the experience of American arms. So we're looking at not just a sacred piece of France, but the statue of the American trooper back behind you there, representing those heroic soldiers of the 82nd and dedicated to all paratroopers, past, present, and future. So this isn't just about 4 airmen. This is about American arms in general and the partnership that happens when land forces, air forces, and naval forces come together. So what a fitting setting to memorialize this collective members of the greatest generation, 3 of which are here. So let's start with present arms.
Colors, attention, hut, present arms.
The lady that's about to sing the national anthems of France and the U.S. is performed by now Master Sergeant Michelle Doolittle of United States Air Forces Europe. Yesterday or today, she found out she's now Master Sergeant. She is also a direct relative of Jimmy Doolittle. So, Master Sergeant, it's over to you.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wrecked there, the bombs Allons, enfants de la patrie, le jour de gloire est arrivé. Contre nous de la tyrannie, l'étendard sanglant élevé, l'étendard sanglant élevé. Entendez-vous dans les campagnes mugir ces féroces soldats? Ils viennent jusque dans ton bras, égorger vos fils et vos compagnes. Aux armes, citoyens, formez vos bataillons. Marchons, marchons, qu'un sang pur entrave nos sillons.
Bravo! Let me also take a minute to acknowledge some distinguished visitors and VIPs and additional U.S. military. I know there's too many to single out. General Donahue, thank you. All others that are here, to include French, to include our allies, thank you. So let me take a minute and talk about these four guys. This is Jimmy Doolittle. This is Rosie Rosenthal. This is Staff Sergeant Snuffy Smith. And this is Don Blakesley. Anybody that wears an Air Force uniform knows who these people are. I was a major on the air staff, walking down the hall with 2 armloads of those old acetone slides, because we didn't have computers those days. I round the corner going down the 9th quarter to the E-ring, and sitting in a chair, this was the day the Air Force promoted General Doolittle to 4-star. Sitting in a chair surrounded by his family is Jimmy Doolittle. He had this impish little grin, and my time with him was probably 10 minutes. And I thought, this guy I would fly anywhere with. I would go anywhere if he asked me to go. Remember, he takes 16 B-25s off of U.S. warship Hornet 4 months after Pearl Harbor and strikes Tokyo. They had to launch too far out to recover. Michener, who is the skipper of the task force, gets Doolittle in a room and says, Jimmy, we're going to have to either push your airplanes off in the water or you're going to have to fly. He said, you're not pushing my birds in the water, I'll fly. He goes down in the hangar deck, gets all his guys together and says, guys, we're flying. But we're not going to have enough fuel, so if any of you don't want to go, it's not going to be held against you. He went around the room, all 16 airplanes, and he said, you want to go? And every one of them said, Jimmy, are you going? And he goes, I'm flying. What most people don't remember that his co-pilot told me was, after that was over with, he looked at him and they said, Jimmy, why are you doing this? And he says, I want to get off this boat. His personal touch and leadership was key to crushing the opposing Luftwaffe and assuring air superiority prior to the landings. He was awarded a Medal of Honor by President Roosevelt, and he remains the only American to receive both the country's highest military and civilian honors, the Medal of Honor and the Medal of Freedom. Let's talk about another guy, Colonel Robert Rosenthal. Served as a command pilot, mission commander for the 100th Bomb Group, the Bloody 100th. On one mission, they launched 14 B-17s. They got one back. That got back had 2 engines shot off the wing. They were able to bring it back. He was an incredible combat leader. He led from the front in the tradition of the American Air Force. After completion of his 25 missions, he volunteered for another 25. He flew 52 total, shot down twice, broke the same arm twice. Once during a mission to Berlin in February 45, he got shot up, parachuted into what he hoped was friendly forces. Remember, he's bombing Berlin. That's a long way in from East Anglia. What he hoped was friendly forces hid in a bomb crater, and with his 45 Colt, Model 1911 in his left hand, he was relieved to see what he thought was Russian troops. They get closer, he stands up, they take him back to Moscow. He goes from there back to flying. After he flies his 52 missions, he goes to Washington, demands to see Hap Arnold. Hap Arnold says, you bet. Rosie goes in and he says, I want to go to the Pacific and lead a bomb wing. Arnold says, you've already flown 52 missions. And Rosie allegedly said, but Chief, it's not over yet. There's still some bombing to do. So he goes to B-29 school, but he's in B-29 school when the Japanese surrender. So what does he do? He's a lawyer. He volunteers to be a prosecutor at Nuremberg. He's awarded Distinguished Service Cross, 2 Silver Stars, 2 DFCs, 2 Purple Hearts, 8 Air Medals. Next, Don Blakesley. Don Blakesley was a command pilot and a gifted mission commander. Early on, he decided he wanted to fly, so he goes to Canada and volunteers to be in the Royal Canadian Air Force. They teach him to fly. He goes to England. He's flying a Spitfire in the Eagle Squadrons. The Eagle Squadrons get turned over to the Army Air Force. He stays there flying Spitfires. They transition to P-47s, which he did not like. She's big and heavy. He is flying a P-47 when they merge with a group of Luftwaffe fighters. They get shot up a little bit. He chases a German fighter downhill, which one thing a P-47 could do was accelerate downhill. About the only thing it could do. Catches the German, shoots it up, German bails out. This is the first kill in Europe by a P-47, and it was Don Blakesley. He then lobbies to get the new P-51. He gets it, but they don't give him time to train his guys. So he gets them all in a room and says, we're going deep into Germany. They say, boss, we don't even know how to start this thing up. And he goes, that's okay. Crew chief will start it for you. You'll learn to fly it on the way to the target. Follow me. He flew combat for 3.5 years, longer than any other fighter pilot, more combat hours and more missions than any other fighter pilot in World War II, and only left under extreme protest. So his aggressive style of leadership in escorting and going after the Luftwaffe result in the 4th Fighter Group having over 1,000 kills, leading up to the culmination of Big Week, which led up then to breaking of the Luftwaffe, which then led to where we are today. He's awarded 2 Distinguished Service Crosses, 2 Silver Stars, 8 DFCs, 8 Air Medals. So the last guy here, personal favorite of mine, Maynard Stuffy Smith, was a ball turret gunner in the 423rd Bomb Squadron. He was a little bit short in stature, and according to everyone that knew him, had a well-deserved reputation as being stubborn. But on his first mission, they get shot up on the way to the target. They get shot up on the way back. The airplane's on fire. 3 guys jump out in the water. They never see them ever again. Pilots are fighting this thing. They get a fire in the back of the airplane. It's burning, melting the metal in the back of the airplane. He's the ball turret gunner. He gets out. The 2 waist gunners are shot up. He's doing first aid on them, morphine shots, patching the wounds, fighting the fire. The Germans are attacking. He's going from left to right, right to left on the waist guns, fighting the Germans, trying to clot the blood on the bleeding other gunners, and stomping on this fire. They get shot up wave after wave. They keep getting shot up for 90 minutes, an hour and a half. He fights this fire, provides critical medical care, and is firing back at the Germans. After all the fire extinguishers are empty, he stomps on it with his feet and hands, and then in a typical airman fashion, the way he puts the fire out is he actually urinates on it. The week he was awarded the Medal of Honor for that mission, when the Secretary of War shows up, Stimson, to pin this medal on him, they can't find him. They ask, you know, his NCO, where is this guy? And he goes, well, he's such a screw up. He's on KP duty. Secretary of War says, well, you got to go find him because we're about to pin a Medal of Honor on this guy. They drag him out, they clean him up, put him in uniform. There's a classic picture of him getting the Medal of Honor. Let me follow up with that with invitation to a few distinguished visitors to come up and share their thoughts. First, Lieutenant General Jason Hines, Acting Commander, United States Air Forces, Europe. Now he's thinking, what am I going to say about him? Bigby Hines is one of my, I would say, one of my children. So Bigby, over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow airmen, allies, honored guests, and most importantly, our veterans and family members of the honored today. As General Mosley said, my name is Lieutenant General Jason Hines, call sign is Big B, and I'm the Deputy Commander of U.S. Air Forces in Europe and Air Forces Africa, and I'm thrilled to be here today for this monumental location and monumental day. So today, as General Mosley said, we're gathering at Lafayette Bridge. Victory would not have been possible without supremacy of the skies, a supremacy earned through the valor, innovation, and sacrifice of the men of 8th Air Force. And the Normandy Institute leads a noble effort to ensure that that history is not only remembered, but it's also understood. So today, with the installation of this stunning monument, we enshrine not just 4 iconic figures, but the legacy of those who served in the 8th Air Force during World War II. As the largest air armada in history, the 8th pioneered the concept of strategic bombing, demonstrating the decisive impact on air power on warfare. Their relentless campaigns against enemy infrastructure laid the groundwork for modern aerial combat that we use today. But on D-Day, the 8th Air Force played a crucial role in the success of Operation Overlord. In the early hours, more than 1,700, that's 1,700 bombers, targeted German defenses, transportation hubs, and communication lines across Normandy and the rest of Europe. These strikes, although may not have been precision, they were instrumental in weakening the enemy's fortifications and disrupting reinforcements, thereby facilitating the landings of the Allied ground forces on the beaches. Despite facing formidable anti-aircraft fire and challenging weather like today's, the aircrew's unwavering commitment ensured air superiority and contributed significantly to the liberation of Western Europe. This monument in front of us today is more than just bronze and stone. It's a promise. It's a promise that we will never forget those who flew into the flak-filled skies so others could live free. It's a promise to educate future generations, not just with the facts, but with the deeper truths of honor, duty, and courage. So let us leave here today, not only with admiration, but with resolve, to live up to the standards set by the mighty 8th, to remember that their sacrifice, not as history, but as heritage, and not as the past, but as our purpose. Thank you. Merci.
It's great to stand next to these amazing veterans up here. So it's a real honor to stand in front of you and stand in front of this crowd of American and French patriots who are honoring these gentlemen and the gentlemen who are memorialized here today. To stand next to the families as well has really been the honor of my lifetime. I had the privilege and the blessing of being the commander when Masters of the Air came out, and I don't know if Kirk Sadusky is here or if he came to this portion. There he is. He gave me a gift that I didn't realize I was going to get, which was the Masters of the Air. When that came out, people came out of the woodwork. And you find in airports, or if you're wearing something that recognizes, or the people recognize as 8th Air Force, they come out of the woodwork and talk to you and tell the stories of their family members who did such incredible things. So to have that gift be given to me in my time of command is irreplaceable, and it's really the gift of a lifetime. So Dan Rosenthal and I finally got to meet. The stories that are told about Rosie, I think, not only by his family, but everyone who I've met who knew Rosie is just really incredible. And I will also tell you that to have the flag in my office of the mighty 8th Air Force, knowing that General Doolittle commanded that unit at one point, is really the honor of a lifetime as well. I will add one little quote that I've know about General Doolittle from when he lined up on the USS Hornet to take off for those Doolittle raids. He said something I think is really indicative of who he was as a leader. similar to what General Mosley said when he asked all those airmen if they were ready to go do this, and no foul if they weren't. When they're lining up, and he was the first aircraft to take off, which means he also had the shortest amount of runway on the carrier. So it was the most dangerous takeoff of any of them. And his co-pilot looks over at him when they run the engines up and they check and it looks good. And the co-pilot says to him, General Doolittle, or I think Colonel Doolittle at the time, "Are we gonna make it?" And he looks back over and he says, "It's too early to tell." So that's the kind of leader he was. That's really incredible. Okay, so what did the mighty 8th Air Force do for the 82nd Airborne on Lafayette Bridge on the longest day? Because it was the longest day. 703 days before that longest day, on the 4th of July, 1942, the mighty 8th Air Force conducted its first raid into the continental area of Europe, so into the Netherlands. It was not very successful. It was very small. But from that day forward, 703 days from that day to the longest day, the mighty 8th Air Force was on watch, giving maximum effort to do what they could to clear the skies over France, so that on that longest day, General Eisenhower could lead those soldiers to the hardest task of their lives. 150 days before the longest day, General Doolittle took the flag and was given the order to destroy the Luftwaffe and make the skies clear so that the Normandy invasion could be conducted. And General Eisenhower, we also know, went to every engagement he had with the soldiers in the lead up to the invasion. He said, when you look up into the skies and you see an airplane, that will be an American airplane. You will be safe in the skies because of that. So that gift of time is what the mighty 8th Air Force gave to the longest day.
And it's before we have an airplane fly by. It is an aircraft assigned to the 100th Air Refueling Wing in the UK, which is in the lineage of the 100th Bomb Group, which Rosie Rosenthal was a command pilot. This airplane is a KC-135, and the name Rosie's Riveters is painted on the side of it in memory of the 100th Bomb Group and a guy that we're memorializing today. Colonel Pianet, come up, please.
It's a great honor to stand before you today on behalf of the French Air and Space Force as the commander of Hebrew Air Force Base, which was the home of many US service members back in the 50s. I'm deeply grateful to be part of this ceremony, and I'm proud to represent the values and tradition of our two great air forces. Let us remember the past with gratitude, honor the present with pride, and look to the future with hope and determination. Thank you for your attention.
Sir, please. Remarks by Commander of the American Legion. Please, sir.
Good afternoon, thank you. As a proud member myself of the United States Air Force, it is truly an honor to represent the largest organization of American veterans in the dedication of this long overdue memorial to my military ancestors. Until now, the airmen of the mighty 8th, as retired General Michael Buzz Mosley observed, had no solid battlefield to commemorate. That is, until now. Their day has rightly come.
You guys please join Dorothea and unveil the monument. Benjamin Victor, where are you? Come here.
And what a history. What an amazing history. What a legacy to now be a part of. I came out to a very special place, the Warhawk Air Museum in Idaho, near where I live, and they loaned me all of the gear and clothing and items that are on these four that you see here today. And not only that, I came out and worked on the clays on site, and I could measure all of it and get everything just perfectly accurate, because that was so important to me when I read their stories. But I feel like I know each one of these guys now. You know, from General Doolittle in the artwork, I wanted to show that leadership. And you'll notice in his stance, his steps are not quite what is totally natural like the others. Instead, he's leading with that front foot and his arm at the same time. I thought of him like a general with a shield, putting that arm out first as he strides forward out onto the airfield. And then just to his left, of course, is Robert Rosenthal. And I read about him and talked to Dan a lot about him and just his wonderful, amazing story. Said his name and his plane arrived. Can you time that better? Colonel Blakesley and his courage, his bravery, and his toughness, he kept that grit all the way through his life, even in his older years. And then, of course, Snuffy Smith, the perfect four to represent our 8th Air Force. So thank you so much, and thank you to all the dignitaries that are here, and thank you to the donors and everybody who made this special.
Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Lauren, thank you. Guys, thank you.